Hello everyone, hope you're all well. I wanted to continue my Legend series, and today I wanted to give Tony Greig of England, who was one of the most loved commentators and was also one of the most controversial cricketers of all time. He was born October 6th, 1946, in Queenstown, which is in the Eastern Cape province in South Africa. It's not far from the place that I lived towards the end in South Africa. But he obviously played for England, and he was a captain for Sussex, the county, and also for England for a short while. And he played first class cricket for Border in South Africa, Sussex in English county, obviously, and also for Eastern Province in South Africa. In all, he played 58 test matches and he scored 3,599 runs at an average of 40.43, and he scored 800s, and his highest was 148 versus West Indies at Barbados, Bridgetown. And he also took 141 test wickets, which might surprise a lot of people. And he had six 5-wicket hauls, and he had actually two 10-wicket hauls as well. And that is a very good record for Tony Greig, because even though everyone knows he was a batting all-rounder, he was not known for his like an all-out bowler. There are a lot of full-time bowlers, like I can say, who don't have 10-wicket hauls. So two 10-wicket hauls is a massive thing for Tony Greig. And in first-class cricket, he scored almost 17,000 runs, and he scored 26 hundreds. And he also took a staggering 856 wickets in first-class cricket with 33 5-wicket hauls and 8 10-wicket hauls. So Tony Greig taking a lot of wickets in first-class cricket as well. And Tony Greig was a very versatile player. He obviously was a very good batsman, and he bowled medium pace, and he also bowled off spin. And in some of his best match figures against West Indies was he got a lot of wickets with his off spin as well. And he was a very tall person, by the way. Everyone who has seen him in commentary and maybe before playing days have probably seen it. He was 6 feet 6 inches, which is very tall, and he had a very imposing presence about him. And he was controversial. The biggest controversy was when he said in 1976, before the West Indian tour, he said we are going to make them grow well. And that was seen as a very racist comment from Tony Greig, and especially being a white South African, Tony Greig, it was probably seen in that light as well. And West Indies with their history as well of slavery, obviously the word grovel, they didn't take it that well, and the West Indian fast bowlers was really hostile during that series, and they did obviously make Tony Greig realize that he said something very wrong, and West Indies obviously won the series 3-0, but there was a lot of injuries to English batsmen, and West Indies were really bowling a lot of short-pitched bouncers at English batsmen, and Tony Greig also had a poor series. But in 1974, he scored 430 runs and took 24 wickets against West Indies, and he actually helped England to draw the series against West Indies. After losing early test matches, the third test at Bridgetown, that's where he scored his highest of 148, and he also took 6 wickets at Bridgetown, Barbados. And in the fourth test at Guyana, he scored 121. And in the fifth test at Trinidad, Port of Spain, he actually won the match for England, taking 13 wickets in the match. He took 8 wickets in the first innings and 5 wickets in the second innings. 13 wickets, and that is his best match figures. So he helped England to draw the series against West Indies. And he only captained England for like a couple of years, because he helped the Kerry Packer series, like the World Series cricket. He helped Kerry Packer a lot by signing a lot of his English colleagues, and also a lot of West Indian and Pakistani cricketers as well, and that cost him his English captaincy. but he had a very good captaincy tour when he came to India in 1976 77. And India were formidable at home at that time with the quartet spin bowlers, obviously Bishan Singh Bedi, Chandrasekhar, Prasanna, and Venkatragavan. And India were very difficult to beat, obviously, in India. And England had a bad record in the subcontinent as well. They hadn't won a series in the subcontinent for 15 years, and Tony Greig came to India with his team. And the first three Test matches, the England won by massive margins. Two Test matches they won by an innings, and one match was won by 10 wickets. And one of the matches at Calcutta Eden Gardens, Tony Greig scored 103 when he was having a problem with stomach bug and he was struggling, and in front of 100,000 spectators at Eden Gardens. And Tony Greig rates that as his best moment of his career. That Calcutta match where he scored that 103, struggling with the stomach bug and in front of all those crowds. So under Tony Greig's captaincy, they did beat India, the Indian team with the spin quartet, and that was a significant achievement by Tony Greig. But unfortunately, because of the Kerry Packer issue, he lost his captaincy. And he was also got into controversy once there was this incident where run out of Alvin Kalicher in West Indies, but it was reversed later, but it led to a lot of controversy as well. And in the 1974-75 Ashes tour of Australia, he clashed a lot with Dennis Lillee as well. So Tony Greig had more than a fair amount of his controversy, but he was obviously, and that 13 wickets that he took against West Indies at Trinidad, Port of Spain, he actually got most of his wickets bowling off spin. So that was the reason why I said Tony Greig was very versatile. And he was obviously one of the best commentators of all time, no doubt about that. I mean, people who have watched cricket in the 90s and before that, especially in the 90s, will never forget Tony Greig. And especially when Sachin Tendulkar was batting, Tony Greig's commentary was over the moon. Especially if you have watched those two innings of Tendulkar at Sharjah, where Tendulkar scored back-to-back hundreds, the 100 to get India to the finals, and then in the finals against Australia again he scored 100. I mean, in those two matches, Tony Greig's commentary when Tendulkar was hitting straight sixes was absolutely amazing. There is nothing to substitute that. I mean, when Tendulkar was in full flow, if you had to choose one commentator to be there, it always had to be Tony Greig, because he absolutely loved Tendulkar and his batting, and he was always he had always a lot of things to say about Tendulkar, and his excitement for Tendulkar and his shots was just amazing. And Indian fans in the 90s will never forget Tony Greig. And he also had epilepsy all his life, which was sad. And there has been incidents where he has fainted on the ground as well. And unfortunately, he died in 2012. He had lung cancer, but he eventually died of a heart attack as well. And he was from a very good cricket family. His younger brother Ian Greig also played Test match cricket, and a lot of his relatives, a lot of his cousins, extended family members also played a lot of first-class cricket. So Tony Greig was from a very big cricketing family, and obviously being born in South Africa, obviously he would have got cricket in his blood. So Tony Greig, someone who has been a very controversial character, but has done a lot of things for cricket as a captain, as a bowler, as an all-rounder, and he was one of the leading all-rounders that England have produced, I have to say, taking 141 Test wickets and also scoring those runs with a 40 average. And he could have probably played a lot more as well. And as a commentator, he was absolutely excellent. He was very honest with his opinions, and he was obviously a very sharp reader of the game, and he had so much insight about the game. And a lot of colleagues in commentary as well. I mean, he was really popular and well known in the cricketing world. And even though he had a lot of controversies, he still maintained excellent relationships with a lot of players from different countries as well. So that is my video on Tony Greig, who is one of the greatest commentators that anyone has seen, and who was such a popular and colorful character on and off the field. South African born, but obviously played for England and captained England, and one of the rare captains to have won a Test series in India, especially when India were formidable with the Indian spin quarter. That is one of the greatest achievements of Tony Greig. And also scoring that 430 runs in West Indies in that series and taking 24 wickets, having such an all-round performance in that series. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Please take care and God bless you.